Welcome to the show. I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré.
And this is BingeWorthy.
We tell you what to binge.
What to delete.
Today we're going to look at the new comedy, Future Man.
Season 2 of Lady Dynamite.
And the British show, Ill Behavior.
Cheers to Lady Comics proving that women can be funny 4 weeks a month.
And thanks to our host, Vinyl in New York City. All right, Jess, let's talk TV.
From Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and the rest of the Sausage Party team comes this new time travel comedy, Future Man. It's part Back to the Future, part The Last Starfighter. It stars Josh Hutcherson from The Hunger Games, but the real standout is Eliza Coupe, who plays a video game character come to life. Future Man is now streaming on Hulu.
What about your video game? You're the best at it, right?
Welcome to the Resistance.
Go, 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 go!
Congratulations, you are the savior.
We've come back from the year 2162.
Everything that happens in the Biotic Wars is real. The game is a recruitment and training tool sent back in time to find the one person with the skills to save us. You're the first and only person to have beaten the game.
That's The Last Starfighter. It's the exact same plot as the movie.
Sometimes you just want a fun, silly, goofy kind of show, and that's to me what this show was. It never took it to like the next level of comedy, like this is some kind of subversive statement on video game culture or anything. But it was just kind of a blast.
It's fun, it's campy. You have these video game moments and these moments in the real world where somebody is trying to understand I'm the savior, like me, and then he may actually do something like, oh, maybe he is the savior. And these great moments where they're playing with time travel, so he goes back in the past, but he has knowledge of the future. So like, in one moment he gets into a dance-off with the best black dancer in the whole fraternity, and the guy's doing all these amazing moves, and he's just like, oh, I'll just do the Running Man, and it'll blow their mind. Oh, I'll just do the moonwalk, Michael Jackson, and it'll blow. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, and it changes the course of history, of course, as we know from Back to the Future and sort of thing. But they're taking all the little future movies that we've grown up watching over and over and over, and taking little tropes from each of them and putting it in. It's fun. It's not going to win awards or anything, but this is
it doesn't want to.
No, it doesn't
which
want
is
to,
sometimes refreshing.
It's a fun show. I don't know if Eliza Coupe is playing somebody who's a video game character come to life. She is someone from the future, who came back to get him
and inserted herself as a video game player, so she could then. It's all very confusing.
Games are to send a message to people in the past of who will prove themselves to be the best warrior for the future when humanity is under assault.
I was trying to simplify it, okay?
Well, my wife asked me as I was watching it, what is it about? And I have
Were you like, do you have 10 minutes?
I know, right? Like, it would take me a very long time to fully explain it to you. But then out of that, you get comedic moments, and then an action moment, which of course is campy, and then like a fun moment. It sort of covers the gamut of just all different. It's like a kitchen sink show.
It is, but how funny is Eliza Coupe? I mean, I loved her so much on Happy Endings.
So serious.
She's so invested in this character, and like her lack of understanding about how the real world functions, like seeing a baby in a parking lot, she's like, I want it.
That tiny man, give him to me.
Or like high heels or whatever. I thought she was so great.
Yeah, so you have them not understanding the past to them, and then Josh dominating the past because it is the past to him. But it's super interesting.
And even the supporting people, like Ed Begley Jr., who plays Josh Hutcherson's character's dad. And he's so kind of earnest, and he's just, and Glenn Headley's who's so great, R.I.P.
There's this low budgetness to the whole thing, which sort of suggests like, we're not going for, like Emmys. We weren't trying to be on Netflix with a, $1 billion budget. This is just fun and smart and low-key, and I keep coming back to campy. And like, when you start shooting with these weird-looking guns that fire lasers, I'm like, it's so campy.
It's a silly show, but it's a fun show. I was never bored watching it, and it's not gonna be a show that I'm like, oh my God, you need to see this. But I totally liked it.
If you like the whole Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg style of comedy, and you grew up, watching all these sci-fi futuristic shows, this will be like basic home cooking for you.
Yes.
So I would totally binge this. It's a fun show.
Yeah, I did binge it. I liked it. I would say to binge it with low expectations.
Coming up next, we'll discuss the new episodes of Lady Dynamite.
And ill behavior.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is still BingeWorthy.
We tell you what to binge.
And what to delete. Lady Dynamite is a quirky, spunky, funny, weird little show that reminds me of Pee-wee's Playhouse meets the Sarah Silverman program meets, I don't know what, but I love it. Maria Bamford is hilarious and her funny sitcom is back for a second season on Netflix with guest stars like Anna Gasteyer and David Spade.
I'm finally in a healthy relationship. And my mentals are pretty stable. It's pretty great.
Living with someone is hard. It's all about how you handle it.
Yeah. Can we get a bottle of water up here? I am just wobbly and hot like a flan.
Maria Bamford is a seasoned veteran comic, but she's not always the one getting the joke. She may not even be the one setting up the joke. She may just be there as funny things happen, but this show moves so fast because there's so many little different setups that I felt like I had watched 6 episodes and I'd only watched 3, and I'm like, 10 minutes has passed, and oh my God. But it's really funny and delightful and just sort of zany in the best possible way.
When I watched this season, and I loved season 1 of the show, but there was something very medicinal for me in a strange way of watching this. With everything going on in the world right now, everything going on in our country, everything going on against, you know, assault and harassment, and every day is another story about this. And I watched this and it felt like an antidote to that. It is such a joyous show and it's so silly. And like you said, it's super quirky. Mitch Hurwitz co-created it, who did Arrested Development, and it reminds me of sometimes on Arrested when he would, you know, take you out of the moment and do a flashback or do some absolutely absurd plot, and you can see his handprint in this show. But I agree with you, this is all about Maria Bamford, who is a genius.
I mean, I knew that we were in a sort of weird place when she like comes out of the shower and she's naked and she's pixelated, and then Maria is trying to outrun the pixelation.
Yes, she's body positive. Yes.
They're struggling to keep up with her. And I'm like, I love this. It's meta, it's smart, it's funny, it's weird.
They're just legit talking dogs and squirrels.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just asked to accept that, and we do. And I not only don't accept it, I relish it.
It's not even weird.
I love it.
The talking pugs.
Yes, and the people who she gets, obviously people love her and love the show.
Yeah.
The guest stars are amazing. I mean, everyone from Judd Apatow is so funny. Jill Soloway is amazing. I love everything about this show. It fills me with joy.
I mean, it's just a lovely sort of little universe that she created, and it's fun, and it's super weird, but it's super great.
It is a universe I was so happy to visit.
Yeah.
You know when you watch a show and you're like, I just want to be immersed in this universe.
Yes.
That's how I felt watching this show.
And so this is why it makes a great binge, because it creates its own universe. You're sort of hermetically sealed, and once you get in there, it's fun to sort of stay in there, and you can lock the door, and Trump does not exist in that universe.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I would binge Lady Dynamite. It's so much fun.
I would too. It's such a good binge. You can watch the entire season in a weekend, and you'll be a little cuckoo at the end, but you'll be happy. Ill Behavior, the 6-part dark comedy that first aired on the BBC, can now be seen Mondays at 10:30 on Showtime. You're the Worst, Chris Gere plays a guy who just got dumped by his wife and then finds out his best friend has cancer but is refusing treatment. So with the help of a doctor/porn addict, played by Lizzie Kaplan, he kidnaps his friend to force that chemo into him.
I have Hodgkin's lymphoma.
I'm not going to have chemotherapy.
I'm going to heal naturally.
If he's trying all these alternative treatments, maybe they'll work.
We kidnap him and give him chemo until he's cured.
Where's the daughter? Why are you doing this?
Because I love you, you dick.
You're the only oncologist I know.
So you'll do it?
Sure, brilliant. For 100 grand.
We are going to save your life.
First of all, I didn't think the show was that dark or that comedic. So I feel like if you're gonna be a dark comedy, you gotta go in. You gotta lean into both dark and comedy. But the thing that drove me the most crazy when I was watching this show was Lizzie Kaplan's character. Because here she's, I don't know who created, they're like, let's create a woman who's super smart, but she's also like, she's gotta have sex in the bathroom of the bar right away, and like, she doesn't care about the guy, it's all about her, and yeah, and she's like, no, don't come into my home because I gotta watch porn. Who is this character? It was the most irritating drawing of a woman. It was ridiculous. It was some like fantasy. Some writer was like, you know what? I'm gonna create a woman who's like super hot and like all she wants to do is like bone in the bathroom.
I couldn't even get that far because just the initial concept of like, here's two old friends, one is sick with cancer and refusing treatment, and I'm like,
even though it's a curable form of cancer,
a totally curable, manageable form of cancer. I was just like, I'm totally lost and out of this, and like, what are you talking about? And it becomes almost insulting that you're sort of playing with cancer, like cancer becomes a sort of like plot note, which the character can gleefully, he doesn't even have a deep principle, it's just like, oh, we'll beat it somehow, like.
But you know what, like that part I thought there's room for that. I mean, I think of a show like The Big C, which is a show, I think Laura Linney is amazing.
But the show is about, cancer, right? So I can flow with that, right? But this, it's like cancer's like a secondary character who just happens to be mute, but is having an impact on everything. Yeah. And he's just ignoring it gleefully, and then you're going to force it on him. So there's a series of gags in which he's trying to figure out how to force it on him. I'm like, no, just this entire premise is kind of disgusting.
It drove me crazy, and it was sort of like, we need to figure out a reason why this one guy will kidnap his best friend and, you know, tie things around his arm. So, oh yeah, we'll just give him cancer. The whole thing, it didn't work. I think there's always room for a dark comedy to explore a traditionally taboo subject, like terminal illness or like cancer or something. And there is room for that, and I think it can be done well. This is not that show. This is not done well.
I mean, you know, look, I think that there's a strain of British comedy, especially British dark comedy, that just does not play over here, and we just don't understand it. We have our own strains of dark comedy that maybe they don't really care for. And this falls definitely into that bit of like, just as Americans, we're like, no, but because we're not used to this, and it's just weird, and just sort of the way they are about this cancer that's floating around in their midst. I just found it very off-putting, and I had nothing to relate to, and I didn't want to be in this world, and I didn't care about these characters.
No, and I didn't buy them. That's the other thing.
They seem like characters, and not like people.
They very much seemed like characters. In order for a dark comedy like this to succeed, you need to really invest in those characters, because the premise is so crazy. Guy kidnaps friend, forces chemotherapy into him. That's a crazy enough premise that your characters need to be believable. These characters were completely unbelievable, and I approached the show wanting to love it. Chris Gere from You're the Worst is one of my favorite actors. And when I watch him on that show, sometimes I think, I can't wait to see what you do next, because you are that good. And I was like, this is what you're doing next? You have all the goodwill.
No, I'm super deleting this. I really just was repelled by the show.
Ditto, I'm deleting this as well.
All right. Coming up, we'll discuss the new show, Damnation.
And we'll give our pick for the performance of the week.
Welcome back, I'm Touré.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
And this is BingeWorthy. We tell you what to binge.
And what to delete.
The new drama Damnation airs Tuesdays at 10 on USA. And people, I'm not sure how much else I can say about the show because it put me to sleep.
Those who side with wealth and power must be recognized for what they are. The enemy.
You're gonna save my poor immortal soul?
No, I'll kill you and drag you to hell with.
Drug killers, even the scribblers.
You out there organizing a common revolt?
We're gonna need the damn National Guard.
It was just very formulaic, and I couldn't with this show.
Yeah, I mean,
and I really couldn't. Like, I'm like, really? Like, this was
like, why are you so boring? There were times when I was watching it that's how I felt, and I thought, it has the makings of a show that I should like. It looks respectable. It's shot nicely. It's in Iowa, and there's this people like farmers. It's during the Depression era. The farmers versus the banks, and maybe it would feel. I thought, oh, is this going to somehow feel relevant to 2017? I think Killian Scott's very good. He plays this character who's fronting as a preacher in this town, but that's not actually who he is, and it just felt a little bit like everyone's got a backstory and a mystery, and everyone's hiding something, and all the women are super brassy. And it just felt like I'd seen it all before and better.
Exactly. I mean, like, what is the grab? I gotta want to follow a character on their journey. I gotta want to be in that world with them. Nothing spoke to me. Nothing said, you want to be here, you want to follow this character. It was just like, they just dumped me in the middle of this town square, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't like any of these people. I want to get out of here.
That's how I didn't care of the plight. No. I didn't care for the plight of these people. I didn't feel invested in them. I didn't feel invested in this struggle, this haves and have-nots. And none of the characters compelled me. I really felt like I was watching a rerun of 10 other shows that I'd already seen. They were like, and you know what? This is like kind of a Western, so we're gonna have the plunking of the banjo strings. And I'm like, really? Just try and do something original.
So I'm super deleting this. You?
Yeah, I'm definitely deleting this. I would be happy to never visit this show again. Performance of the week goes to Luna Blaze on Fresh Off the Boat for her sweet performance as Eddie's friend Nicole, coming out to her father, Jessica, and Honey.
I got it! I got the ball! Louis! Just throw it! I can't. I know I can't throw it. Roll it! Just roll it!
Dad, what are you doing? I thought you were mad at me.
No, I was mad at myself. I made that dumb joke about not wanting you to play in their team. I didn't even really mean that. It was just a pun, and it was sitting right there. I couldn't not say it. But that pun in no way reflects my values or my opinions about you.
I tried to tell you a bunch of times. I was just worried you'd see me differently.
Oh, you'll always be my princess. You're out.
Thanks, Dad.
Every story where there's someone coming out, I root for them and I applaud, and this was very sweet. I mean, I have to say though, when she's like playing softball on a team run by a lesbian bar, I'm not sure why anyone was confused by it, but it was a very sweet episode, and it was a lovely performance by her.
Dad, I've been trying to tell you. Why didn't you tell? Well, I am playing on the lesbian bar softball team. What did you think I was doing? No, it's great to see these moments where people are coming out and they're accepted and loved, and even where the stepmother character embraces her right away.
Right.
The father seems to struggle with it a little bit, but just a little bit, and then a moment later he's like, "I'm all in, I love you," even though he's still
and then I was like,
playing
I'm
the
gonna
game.
cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry.
Even though he's still playing the game and tags her out. The man can never let the game go. I'm not gonna stop the competition, but I do love you personally.
Yes.
So I'm thrilled to see that. I'm thrilled to see that in 2017, on a normal national network comedy, that the default has to be that the parents are accepting of them coming out, rather than running away or being rejected or it being sort of this like thing we're never going to talk about again. you know, it shows that we've come a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about, you know, back in the day where it was like on a show like Melrose Place, which was an adult show on later in the evening, and it was like, oh, Matt, don't ever show a kiss. You can't show two guys kissing. And now we have a lovely family sitcom, you know, on in the family hour, and there's a girl coming out, and her stepmom is just gives her a hug, and those are important moments in our culture.
And there's a big difference between portraying a teenager who's really coming to grips with this themselves and learning who they are and then expressing it, rather than somebody who's older and perhaps like, it's taking you all this time, like, well, you know what I mean? It becomes almost pathological. Like, why didn't you figure this out before? Like, this young person is making a positive, effective decision at a critical moment in her life.
Yes, I will say I long for the day where we have the sitcom where there doesn't, or the drama where we don't need the reaction shot. Where we don't need the reaction shot of, of someone in the background being like, you're gay, and that time is coming. It may not be here right now on ABC on Fresh Off the Boat, but that time is coming, and every plot, every storyline like this is putting another brick down in that path.
But all right, that's it for the show. Thanks for watching.
I'm Jessica Shaw.
I'm Touré, and this has been BingeWorthy.
Cheers to warm drinks and good TV.